Hey guys, this is my review of the new Zoids Wild Drei Panther. Not much to say here, you all know the drill. We'll do an unboxing and then we'll check him out in action, so let's get to it.
Robo Shop.
Alright, let's see what's going to go wrong this time. Before I start getting this guy out of the box, I was going to make a million jokes about this, but I'll just tell you why I think this is a stupid name. You either read this as German, in which case it's Drei Panther, which actually means three panthers, but there's only one in the box. Or you read it as Dry Panther or whatever, in which case it sounds like it's the opposite of a wet panther. I don't even know how to pronounce this name. I really don't, because it is potentially German, so, you know. Anyway, on the front here we have the Drei Panther, I don't know what to call him, doing his best Batman impression, you know, looking down from a rooftop apparently with like a thunderstorm behind him. It's pretty cool though. On the back we have the usual, we have a spider diagram, and you know, as all cat Zoids, the Drei Panther is of course good at everything. We have this picture, we have a photo manip here where it's fighting what appears to be a style laser. And on the side, also nothing out of the ordinary, but I will show you this real quick just because I always do. We have bone mode, we have regular mode, and we have an illustration of how blast mode works, which apparently has two stages. Yeah, that's it. Let's take a look what's in here. Alright, before we start looking at the parts, I just did a quick comparison of the instructions, and as it turns out, sadly, the Drei Panther, despite looking quite different from the other cat Zoids, as it turns out, is actually just another Liger variant. Take a look here. Of course, this is, make sure you can actually see this. The mechanism here for the blast mode is of course completely different, and so are the contents of the S-Back. If you look here, this is Beast Liger, this is Drei Panther. It just has these two crank pieces in common, but look at this. Here's the legs, which are obviously identical. We have the front legs, we have the head, teeth. A10 is the piece that goes on the collarbone, I think. This is the piece that moves the head. Yeah, bone structure, see here, tail. Bone structure is identical, just of course the armor is totally different. Okay, so since this is just another Liger variant, this is going to be a quicker unboxing than I thought. Let's take a look. So, first of all, I have the gearbox, which is of course, well, it's a gearbox. Looks the same as all the others. We have the backs stashed here, and here is the gearbox for the blast modes. This is one of the new bits. We have, obviously these fold down and back up, and this is where the rotating pieces attach. I have to say, like, for something that is basically like one of these blast mode mechanisms, this is very nicely detailed. It's not just, you know, a bunch of blocky parts where you can see all the hollow insides, except for here. It's not that bad though. Looks pretty okay. I mean, these things, you know, especially on the earlier Zoids Wild kits, often looked very ugly. So as you know, is just the bone mode parts. So there's no point in looking at these, except let's take a quick look at the collar, actually, because you might remember from a Zoid whose name escapes me right now. that I realized after getting it out of the box that the parts were transparent. Yeah, this is just the standard gunmetal colored bone mold pieces. Nothing out of the ordinary here. So let's just take a look at the B parts, which we have here. Bum, 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 bum. Get rid of the bag. Lots of plastic waste, as usual, of course, for various sea animals to eventually choke on. No, I'm not going to stop complaining about that. Okay, this is the armor that goes on the rotating pieces on the side. We have rivet detail here, the usual screw-shaped pegs. It's fairly nicely detailed. I'm sure these grooves have something to do with the way the blades fold out. The underside also actually almost has better looking detail than the top, so that's cool. Next we have the armor in B1, which is of course all black. It's a fairly nice sort of slightly more matte finish than what you usually get. Grills here, fins here, panel lines definitely very angular, actually more angular than I expected it to be just from looking at the pictures. Which sounds like a strange thing to say, but that's the impression I'm getting. More leg armor. These are the leg armor pieces. This is the head, which of course has the pre-painted visor here, which in this case, hopefully I didn't just knock that out of focus by moving it up. Which in this case, at least for mine, looks very nice, despite being very, very sort of deeply inset behind this here, but it's very precise, which isn't always the case. But that just means I got lucky, right? I'm sure other kits have less precision. This looks like it goes on the power switch here. This is the lower jaw, and this goes on the chest. Probably, or no, it looks like this is the pilot seat. The main body, the torso, of course, it doesn't have all that many armor pieces to it, no doubt, because the blast smoke contraption completely covers it up. Let's take a quick look inside the S bag. Take a look at one of these, and one of the blades, and one of the caps. And the sticker sheet, if I can find it. That's not it, that's the ice. There it is. Should this be in a baggie? Anyway, here's the stickers. This is slightly orangish yellow, which is probably going to look really nice on the black armor. We have a icon for the Zoid itself. Because it has such a silly name, it also has stickers with its name on it. And the rest is basically the usual array of warning stickers. Fairly standard stuff, but I'm not going to get tired of telling you that I quite like the second wave Zoids Wild stickers. This is one of the blades, very hollow underneath, unfortunately. I'm also not sure I'm a big fan of this very, very orange color. I mean, almost anything pops nicely against black because black goes with everything, right? But curious to see how this is all going to fit together, because here we have purple. Purple and yellow makes sense, right? Purple and orange, I don't know. This looks okay, just looking at it now, but it's kind of a weird color composition choice. Anyway, like I said, no point looking at the A-back because that's just the standard Liger skeleton, so I'm just going to get this all put together, and then we're going to take a look at it in action. Alright, let's check him out in action. The walking movement isn't too much to look at, unsurprisingly. The interesting thing to note here is that the head doesn't automatically move downward as he walks, unlike on the Ligers. That's also why you have to turn on blast mode manually by pushing the head down, which locks the gear in the back in place and makes the blades rotate. They move out on their own too, just from the rotation, which is pretty cool. On the downside, I think the mouth is supposed to open and close the same way it does on the Ligers, but either the head on mine is just stuck or it's too light on the front, but as you can see, it opens and then just stays in place. The second stage of blast mode is also done by just manually flipping the blades upward. I'm not a fan of this. It's nice to have more gimmicks generally, but honestly, all I can think of is, Anyway, here's a quick comparison shot with the Beast Liger. It's really pretty cool how totally different these two look, given that they're the same underneath. One thing I definitely like about the Panther is the angular shapes of the armor. It seems counterintuitive for a cat Zoid, but it ends up working really well. The head also kind of reminds me of this classic from the 80s right here. I'm not kidding. Look at the way the front comes to a point and then the same line on the Panther. I'm sure it's just coincidence, but I don't mean this negatively. I think it's really cool. Other than that, though, this isn't exactly what I consider a must-have. If you like the way it looks, I mean, other than the problem I'm having with the head movement, it works just fine, and the engineering on these things actually seems to be getting better. I just don't like how clunky the whole blast mode contraption looks, and it only looks that way so that it can transform into a helicopter. If they just stuck with the rotating blades, which are cool enough by themselves, they could have attached those in a way that's a bit more elegant. I also think the orange blades really do clash with the rest of the collar scheme, and they should have either made those blue or just kept them silver. I know cat Zoids are hugely popular though, so I'm guessing a lot of you guys are shaking your heads at me while you're putting in your orders for this guy right now, and that's great. Like I said, this Zoid doesn't have any hidden flaws, it works really well, and if you think that you want one based on pictures, you absolutely should get one. I'm just saying it doesn't blow me away particularly. So that's it for this one, and now I'm going to do a total YouTube chill move. I know this isn't terribly unusual, but I've noticed that the vast majority of my channel views are from people who aren't subscribers, and most of you come here for these Zoids Wild reviews. I actually review every single new standard release that comes out as soon as I can get my hands on it, so if you're a fan of Zoids Wild and you're not subscribed to my channel, you're kind of letting the algorithm decide for you whether you get to see my next review, and well, you might want to think about changing that and subscribing. My subscribers are also the ultimate YouTube Cool Kids Club, as determined by me, so it must be true, right? Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, folks.